Good morning, everyone. It is day 4 of the International 10, day 4 of the group stages. You know what that means. I know what that means. And there's 2 teams that are going to know very well what that means by the end of the day. Actually, one already knows. It is culling day. We had 18 teams coming to Bucharest, Romania. Great, lovely, happy to have them. But let's be real, we only care about the one in 7 days that wins the whole thing, that is our next TI10 champion. And 2 of those 18 teams will not even make it to the main stage. They'll get eliminated in the groups, and one of those we are already familiar with. We're gonna run you through everything. You're watching the multicast. There's, once again, we're starting the day off with 5 streams, including this one, 4 series running at the same time. We'll keep you informed of everything that's happening throughout the day. And first, we're gonna keep you informed of everything that has happened over the past 3 days, because let's be real, who is able to watch all 4 games all the time? Well, I will tell you who is. My panel is. They are that talented. Avo, we got Jenkins, we got BSJ for the first time. Good morning, all of you. Avo, I mean, this energy, this excitement, I know you share it.
Yeah, I share it. Yeah. Culling day is a bittersweet day, right? We all love it, but someone has to go, unfortunately, and that story has to be told.
That story has to be told. There can be only one, Jenkins.
Yeah, there's a potential. So it's either Quincy, SG, or Fnatic. But it's probably Quincy or SG with how the groups are shaping up. They're both 2 and 10. I don't know how you guys feel, but Quincy, they 1-1 Fnatic. SG 2-0'd Fnatic. And then Quincy also beat Beast Coast, who's like beating everybody else. But then you could argue that, you know, they understand Beast Coast a lot better than other teams because they're from like NASA. So it's a bit of a weird situation. I'm kind of favoring SG in that, just given how their losses have looked. It's been kind of close, and their Fnatic series was intense.
Because let's talk about these past 3 days, because we have gotten a grasp of the skill level of the teams and their ups and their downs. Brian, I know you've been on the other side. You've been casting a lot of these games. What stood out to you most during these last 3 days?
I think of all the teams you just talked about, Quincy Crew has been an absolute disappointment. Okay. Like, it's not just that they're not like picking good heroes or anything like that. They've had games where they're up by 5K, 20 minutes in complete control. Any of the top tier teams, they're going to win that game. And then they just look shaky. They mess up. They do weird, uncharacteristic plays. I think Quinn, for me, has been the biggest. He doesn't. I feel bad for him almost.
He doesn't look the same as he did in NADPC, for sure. Like, it's not in his character to have, what do they call it in chess? Blunders. When you blunder. Like, he does. That's not in his character.
He's a very methodical.
Yeah. There are some players, like, you know, Chris Luck, for example, it's like he blunders all the time in DPC, but also he is like playing on the edge and also owns in the exact same way. It's like he's hit or miss. He's a risky player.
High reward.
High risk, high reward, right. Quinn is not that. He is like such a stable mid, and I think taking that out of Quincy Crew because of nerves or whatever it is, it's rough for them. They can't close out games.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that, I got to cast a lot of T1 games, and they started 2 and 6, and now they're 8 and 6, likely to go 10 and 6.
Yeah.
So you see both sides of the coin. They've looked really promising. Not only are they winning, but they just look in control.
Yeah.
They look like they are dictating the pace of every single game they're in.
And in a group stage like this, you play so many games. Stability is important, but also the ability to improve and to learn from the, like, 6 losses. They learned a lot from that in T1, and they were able to make a comeback and basically get stronger from it. They are able to adapt and evolve, and now they're looking super hot. They are, I believe they are facing SG today. No, that's not true. But they are facing a team that they're facing Thunder Predator. I was having it in my head already as a win, because Thunder Predator, we haven't actually mentioned the team name yet, but that is the team in Group A that is guaranteed eliminated. They have not gotten a win to their name yet, and they only have 1 series left, so there is no way for them to claw themselves back into the game. I know all of you at home have opinions too about which teams are doing very well, which teams are not doing very well. Make sure that if you use social media, you tag hashtag TI10 on all the platforms, because we love to read and see what you are thinking and doing with all the Dota being played today. There is a lot of Dota to digest. It is a lot. I think I want to touch on this real quick. I think coaches are very important when you have to digest this much data. And one thing that coaches do, we're gonna coach you guys at home a little bit, is look at all the metadata. They look at like, okay, you know what? Let's strip away the teams. It's not that important who is playing what. Let's see what's evolving, what's happening in the meta. Avo, how have you been experiencing this Dota meta so far? Because it changes every time.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning we saw no meta at all. People were everyone came in with their own ideas and they tried to decide what was going on. But I think a couple of picks really stood out, particularly. Yesterday we were talking a bit about the Tiny, but I think there's one other pick that also really stood out these group stages, I believe being the Monkey King.
Ooh, yes. I mean, the Monkey King and the Tiny, I believe people already were talking about them before going in. So maybe he's not surprised that they are the most banned heroes, but it is very crazy. 90 bans on the Monkey King Jenkins? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the most banned hero in the tournament, and I think like what I didn't expect was that it would be 4th position in every single game, because it has been a top tier carry, if not the top tier carry in the past like 2 months. So and it's like the build is not. It's like people are just ATOSing from the trees, and I think, Brian, you had a good theory on that. Maybe you can elaborate.
Yeah, they don't even buy boots. They spend 95% of their time in the trees, and it's just a vision game. It's like the best D-warder, it's the best scouter.
Yeah, people are
the
going to
gank
they're going to vision talent now instead of the stun talent, which is kind of crazy because any stun talent is a good talent in Dota. Stuns are just good.
That's why we see Shaker doing so well as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Elder Titan, you saw him too as the most picked, and he's mostly picked. He's one of the most picked that is the least flexible, it feels like, but he is still very stable in his role. Overall, the top heroes by position. The fact that Tiny is still there, despite also being one of the most banned, is pretty crazy. I was mostly surprised, though, seeing 35 games of Snapfire, because that's like the hero that's flying under the radar, right, Brian?
I think she's the only one with a sub 50% win rate. It's like 48%, so it's not even bad. But all these other heroes, like Tiny and Monkey King, have 60% win rates, I think, and they're first picked, first banned every game. And then Elder Titan, always a TI hero, very high win rate. Lena, 60% win rate as well. All these heroes are highly prioritized, and they're winning. So that's very terrifying.
Very terrifying.
I feel like with Lena, what people didn't realize for a long time, and I think LG actually kind of pioneered this at the Animajor, is the fact that she's like the highest DPS carry in the game. Legit, other than like maybe PA or something. Just the built-in Fiery Soul. If you go for, like, if there's a build that's viable on her that gives her damage and survivability, which the Satanic, Silver Edge, or like Daedalus as well, people like Blink Daedalus, like if there are builds like that are actually viable on her, she's just a carry. She'll kill your carry from full to 0 easily, as long as she doesn't die. So that's why she needs the survivability.
But she has really good laning stage as well. She acts as a mid as well. She's a space creator in many cases.
2 for 1, yeah.
Exactly. So like if you usually think of win conditions from the mid lane, like for example a TA, sometimes you need to give those guys or those heroes a bit of space, a bit of time to farm, get their items. Not the case with Lena.
You don't
she
have
will
to
do it
stack
herself.
for her.
Yeah. I mean, she'll stack herself.
It's the same thing with Tiny, though, as a carry.
That's true.
He wins his lane.
That's true.
He hard carries, and he wins his lane. That's okay, I guess. Balanced.
It is balanced in its own way, because obviously that's why we see it a lot on the ban side, and we do see it let go through a couple times too, because people have plans against it, and that's so beautiful about the game. We constantly see everything evolve, and people will find answers to the Lena as well as to the Tiny, just like they found answers to the Tidehunter, which is Lena. And it will continue. It will continue like that. There is also a couple of top players of the tournament so far. Not all of them are good to be at the top, because FNG with 17 deaths versus T1 is painful.
That's the stare of somebody with 17 deaths.
It really is. I know
Jenkins
that
stares
all
like
too
that
well.
on his 1 and 7.
Absolutely. You're about 15 pubs in at that point. Was he Spearbreaker? What there's heroes that like to die.
Spearbreaker's unpicked.
He's totally unpicked?
Yeah, that's what it said on the Dota buff.
Oh boy, T-Gov's not going to be too happy with that.
But Tomato, with the only win against IG out of any team in the tournament, I believe this was a Spectre performance.
Incredible.
That's crazy. 41?
Part of 41 kills and 0 deaths against IG nonetheless.
That's probably his best hero at least from what we saw with Undying in DPC. Like, there was a period where they were playing where they were putting Brile on every single like hard carry-esque hero on the mid lane, and then Tomato was just playing like Juggernaut or Monkey King. He'd go Echo Saber, he would fight. And so he was never really the carry for this team. And so it made me really hopeful for them in DPC Season 2, seeing that they actually adapted and they were giving Bryle some space creators and then picking Tomato hard carries and trusting him to carry the game. And we asked him about it in an interview, and he said, yeah, they're trusting me now. Like, we're working on this as a team. And here he is, 41 KD on Spectre, and it's his signature hero.
It's incredible, and that team on itself has also gone through quite the evolvement. They've also stepped it up. They've improved. We can take a look at all the standings. There's been a lot of teams that have improved. We mentioned T1 also as one of those teams. There's also teams that started rough, had then a great day. Because, for example, yesterday, T1 went 6-0. They had 6 games to play. They won them all. On the flip side of that was Alliance in their group as well that also had 6 games, but they had a rough day. They couldn't claw back. They didn't get a single win out of that level.
Yeah, Alliance has been struggling a bit. They've been up and down, as opposed to T1, which seems like streaks, right?
Yeah.
Alliance has been trying to find their identity. I gotta say, though, we've seen a lot of experimentation from them, both in drafts and in playstyles, but sometimes we see a couple of mistakes that should be uncharacteristic from a team that's in TI.
Yeah, I also want to address the scores. Because people are wondering at home, potential for tiebreakers, Group A, Jenkins, talk to me. Because we know who's out already. Thunder Predator is already out. But there are 3 teams with 8 and 6. VP and OG are looking very good to make it.
This is
upper,
true.
but what are the scenarios? You don't have to do all the math, but what is the craziest scenario you can think of?
I'm pretty sure there could be like a 4-way tie. It could be like let's see, who has to play who?
T1 would have to drop a game to Thunder Predator. If you get to 10 and 6, you're definitely going to get in.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
theoretically possible for OG, VP to both lose their 2 games, and then EG Undying to 1-1 each other because they're playing.
Yeah,
that
they're
would
playing
result
each
in
other.
4 teams at 9-7.
I think what makes it a lot more simple is that Thunder Predator is already out, and I know they tweeted like, "Oh, we're gonna give it our all." It's
Yeah.
really hard to do that.
You're
and then,
demoralized.
And then you have T1, who's on this massive upswing, and like that is not a team that you want to give any sort of momentum to, emotionally speaking, because yeah, those guys will just destroy you. So I think that's what simplifies it a little bit, is that that's very likely going to be a 2-0.
And then let's talk about Group B, because tiebreakers potential there for sure as well. People are able to see that bottom trio, if you will. Fnatic, Quincy Crew, SG, with Quincy Crew and SG both only having 2 wins to their names. We already mentioned they have to face each other today, but they also still have to face Elephant and Spirit, respectively. And Brian, it's looking like there could also be a tiebreaker still for the side of the upper bracket for this group, right?
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of who's playing who, but
I will tell you that Beast Ghost still needs to play Spirit and PSG LGD.
Okay, so I'm going to guess for them that they're going to win 2 games out of
Out of
those
4.
I would
Yeah.
get maybe one. Maybe one.
So-
Spirit's the type of team that could beat almost any team given a good day.
Yeah.
They could take one off LGD. If there's, I mean,
Beast Coast,
what
you know
I'm
what? Actually, if
saying
there's
is I
one
think-
team,
if there's one team that can do it, they
Yeah.
can lose to anyone, they can win to anyone, and also LG is already qualified, or sorry, already in the upper bracket.
Already
Yeah.
upper bracket.
Yeah.
But people also need to be aware, if you're upper bracket, that's great. If you're first in your group, even greater, because you get to choose your opponent. Basically, the number 1 in the group can choose between the number 3 and 4 of the opposite group. Now, I know OG last year is like, we don't care. So
They did the coin flip, right?
Yeah, they did the coin flip. Because, if you're superstitious, you hold your faith in your hands, and what if you choose wrong? There's a lot of pressure on that. And what if one person chooses, and what if me and Ava were in a team, and Ava says, well, I really want to face IG, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. They can't choose IG. IG probably in the top, but and then we don't agree, but I choose at the end, and then we lose, and you're gonna hate me forever.
That's true. Disband for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's
the
no-
Shiver team wouldn't work anymore.
It wouldn't work, and that
You
would be
know-
a darn shame.
it makes a lot of sense because TI is all about chaos.
Yes.
It's all about like thriving in chaos, creating chaos, maybe for these teams that are more comfortable in structure. So just flip a coin. That's chaos incarnate.
I think that's the best method as well, because I mean, out of the 4 teams that are really, I guess some teams really match your playstyle sometimes, but sometimes you'll rack your head so much about who's the best team to go up against.
Overthink it, yeah.
Exactly. And I agree with the superstition. I know a lot of teams are superstitious, like ridiculously so.
Yeah, about the weirdest things as
Yeah.
well. Well, yeah, we all know about Matu's Lucky Pants. Lanham used to have a sweater that he was wearing all the time.
Yep.
So yeah, there are some superstitious things, and I think TI definitely, if you're going to be superstitious for any event, TI is the one. I mean, there's $18 million for the winning team, which is mad, absolutely mad. And you hear Jenkins talk about chaos. There's a little bit of order in the chaos, as we have another whole bunch of games coming your way here today. We don't know exactly how many due to tiebreakers, but we can at least show you the plan for now. This is the schedule for Stream A. We're going to kick things off with LGD versus Elephant.
Dude.
This is, I mean,
That's a great stream.
It's blockbusters all the way through.
Yeah, these games are insane. I mean, LGD Elephant could genuinely go either way, just because I feel like that's the type of team that Elephant is. But then again, I feel like if you're ever betting against LGD, you're probably doing it wrong. IG, OG, those are the two top of the group. OG can beat anyone. Secret, Vici. I feel like Secret's the same.
The thing about these games is all the best teams in the tournament.
Yes.
You know, none of these teams are going home.
All right, so
These
you
aren't
guys
the games
team
that I've
is
watched.
true.
I want
That's
to watch the
true.
games.
Okay,
Like,
that's fair.
I mean,
happening on
OG's got really
Stream
important
B?
games because they might get knocked down to lower bracket. But aside from an Elephant as well, but you know the Quincy Crew SG game.
Oh, don't
shopping
worry,
block.
that's-
Somebody 2-0s.
That's the one.
The other team's gone.
Yeah, they're done pretty much.
Oh,
So the first game is so important in this
Yes.
matchup. The first game is what determines the tempo, what sets up the everything.
How did
Yeah.
how did they get teams in this group? I mean, it's not the third series, but the first two series they're tied in record. Quincy Crew and
Also,
SG are
it's-
deciding each other's fate, and EG on
Well, that was
same
what the
thing.
script said, obviously.
It's like
Yeah, of
four
course.
teams that know each other in and out
Yes.
as well. Like these guys are scrimming every day for years.
But isn't it mad that someone is like, okay, this schedule, let's put these on the final day because they will be the deciding. I mean, it's great scheduling.
There's
Love it.
somebody
do it.
orchestrating
There's
this.
somebody with the
Illuminati
brain
of
out
some
there for
sort.
sure. Let's take a
Yeah.
look at Stream C as well. More games, and we can make a case for every game to be indeed the blockbuster. It's madness. VP also still very important for them to win their games to continue staying in the upper bracket. You got Quincy Crew and Elephant. We just mentioned already how important that first series is, but also that last series of the day for them. Depending on how the first series goes, Avo, this one could be do or die as well.
Yeah, and also the Elephant, Quincy, or Elephant against any NA team is a little bit of the ROTK beef with the NA teams, which is always spicy. And with the panel whenever Kyle's casting, so.
Yeah, that game is exciting in the sense that both teams are fighting for something, but one's fighting for upper bracket, the other one's fighting to stay in. So
Yeah,
they're kind of like
exactly,
looking to
exactly.
screw each other over for their own gain.
Yeah.
And depending on how the first series go, Fnatic in the first series of the day, because they at the moment they're fine, they've got 4 wins, but they still have the potential of being dragged back down
They
into
could be pulled
tiebreakers.
out, yeah,
So
they-
if they can just at least win one of them,
Yeah.
one of these games, because this is their final series. They only have one series today, I believe.
And you know what? Fnatic is the team to take one game off of anyone. They have 4 1-1s so far. I think it's the most in the entire tournament.
But Secret is hard game to take
oh,
a game off.
yes,
just,
yes.
just take a game off
Yeah,
Secret.
yeah.
They
take a
looked
game
way
of
better
Secret.
towards the end of the group stage.
They
I think, for
did.
Secret
They're
as well.
looking on point.
Their
which is
pace
scary.
yesterday, was it against Quincy Crew?
Yeah.
It was against Quincy Crew that we were casting. Yeah, they were just running at you nonstop because they had the Monkey King plus like hunters on their team, and they
Yeah,
beat
they-
bottom, and then 2 seconds later they're top.
No openings whatsoever. And like any time there was like a 30-second window where they had cooldowns and then the enemy team didn't have cooldowns, they would already be smoked on a high ground waiting for you to walk up. It's like they were 100% on point. They looked like peak Secret, which is scary.
It is time. This is the multicast. We've caught you up with the standings, what is happening in Dota right now as well. We've caught you up on everything. You should be totally ready and prepared to watch some top tier Dota today. And we are going to watch the stream eventually that has the elimination match going on because, well, okay, it's not an elimination match, but potential. Because Quincy Crew, NSG, I did not expect for them to be in the bottom of the group. We talked about it a little bit earlier. You opened the show with it, Jenkins. What are you guys doing? Are you good?
He started it.
Okay. I'm glad. I don't think that was Colin Karras. It's,
children in a
not
classroom.
sanitizing. Yeah. No.
I have
but
no
you look
idea
at
what
them.
you're
They're
referring to.
preparing. This stress is palpable.
It is.
I wanted to talk about coaches because Quincy Crew is, of course, one of the teams that got a coach fairly short before TI, just like Thunder Predator, and it didn't work out for Thunder Predator. I personally think that if you're going to have a coach, you should have him grow with you throughout an entire DPC season if you have the chance, right?
I'm with
And
you.
speak your language ideally.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the case of Thunder Predator.
Yes, that would be ideal.
That's ideal.
Absolutely, communication key. But I also I think it's a risky business adding a coach right before TI, and I'm hoping that they are able to still find their balance here in the potential final games, right? Because it's like if you haven't learned in these last 4 days, what's the next step? Like you don't know. Like it didn't work. Is it the pressure? What's the problem?
That's rough.
It's different if you're having like strategical issues.
Yeah.
But for Quincy Crew, for instance, I think they're just playing pretty sloppy.
Nerves.
Yeah.
I think
They
they
are
could use.
choking.
I think they could use a Dr. K.
They
Yeah.
really could.
They really could. Healthygamer.gg. And but I don't know if Kezu is that guy. I feel like he's a very strategic sort of player.
But I was gonna say, he's not hired to be that guy, right?
No, he's not. No, it's not his job exactly.
I
But
do think coaches kind of do that though, because they're like the third.
They do, but
neutral third party that
Yeah.
emotionally
Depends on the
experienced
coach.
it
the loss.
depends on the personality type and if the players are even open to that. If that's what they want. Maybe they just want somebody that's doing like analytics. That's perfectly valid. But it looks like Quincy needs that. It looks like they need somebody to be like, look, guys, like just play like it's a pub. Because Quinn, the amount of times that he jumped in on like Void Spirit and didn't have a way to get out, it's like he had one astral step, you know, and that is the polar opposite of how he plays. If you see him in DPC, he's always the best at kind of dangling, making you jump in on him, and then he has a way to get out. And it's like, oh, Quinn is so high skill, but not.
He's been winning his lane like every
Oh
game.
yeah.
And
I
yet
feel like that's his comfort zone.
I feel zero impact from him. I don't understand. I actually don't understand. It's really sad. It's just like we play with this guy and we get ran over by him in pubs every day.
You fall behind and like it's you know, you have a few deaths like after the laning stage and like the whole lane is gone. It's like the problem is like you have to carry the momentum forward. So like, you know, all it takes is 5 minutes of like not doing the right thing and making mistakes and you're done for the rest of the game. And to me, it just shows like how much pressure there is on like TI mid laners.
Yep.
Is that like all of the mid laners that are not getting crushed under the pressure, I just think they're really high skill. And also they have like crazy mental fortitude.
So let's talk about the other side, because SG, I mean, obviously, I've got to panelists, I'm very passionate about Quincy Crew because they have high expectations from Quincy Crew. But SG, they also, Avo, they were supposed to be doing a little bit better than what they're doing right now, right?
I mean, to me, SG was a question mark because
Okay.
it's a project that you were seeing a building being built, and
Yes.
so you don't know where it's going to finish. You don't know when the banging in the morning's going to stop, and I can finally sleep. And in the case of SG, they have a coach that is a mental coach, or
Yeah.
that's his job. Mangusu, I believe, and I think he's Romanian actually, which is
He is,
interesting. Yeah, he's
yeah.
in home ground here, and he is a coach that has been with them through thick and thin. They are a team that knew that their biggest issues were entirely mental, and they've worked really hard on this aspect. That's why I think that's why I'm a bit worried for Quincy Crew, because even like if you look at Quincy Crew, their storyline is also one that you can imagine being a high pressure storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You say no to sponsors, you come to TI on your own dime, you go
Yeah,
and say
that's true.
we can do this ourselves, and all of a sudden you're facing elimination in group stages.
Yeah.
Imagine how you feel then. And SG is the opposite. SG is a team that did not do well in TPC, a team of good players that got pummeled and destroyed all year, that probably lost all confidence. I can't imagine they have any of that
Like they have
left.
nothing to lose now.
They have nothing
yeah.
to lose.
And I think that's reflected in how
they play.
too. That's why going into this, it's like if you asked me, you know, prior to TI, like SG versus Quincy, it's like, well, I see these teams play together all the time. I would say Quincy for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly, I agree.
They're number one at like NASA, you know, maybe Beast Coast depending on the day. But but SG, I would vote for them right now. Like I would bet on SG because Timber Carry, I mean, they ended up losing, but they are playing loose. Like they are having.
They're fearless.
They're having fun. They're fearless. They're willing to try these kind of crazy strategies. I feel like looking at that says to me that their mental game is going splendidly. Yeah. They're doing great.
Wouldn't you say, Brian, for Quincy Crew, facing SG today, that there is a little bit of that they can draw confidence from the fact that they have beaten SG in the past online?
I don't think there's any confidence in that. I feel like they're in their own TI zone, and it's not a good zone. Like, I'm watching a Quincy Crew make uncharacteristic mistakes in their games, and I don't think, maybe like they had some pep talk from Jack that was like, yeah, we can beat these guys, we've beaten them so many times before. But then at the same time, I think in this high pressure situation, that might just favor SG.
Yeah.
Like,
we've lost to these guys every time, but if we beat them this one time, it's all for naught. So I've just been looking at SG's drafts, and they're prioritizing heroes that are really not highly picked in the first part of the draft. There's
Hell
only been,
yeah. My boy.
There's only been 5 Batrider picks the entire tournament, and 2 of them are by SG in the first round of the draft. So it's just interesting. They're also Night Stalker Tinker they've done twice. They did beat Fnatic with it once, but Tinker also only picked about 5 times. So, and that was first round Tinker, by the way. So just very untraditional, which I respect. It's their own flair, but clearly it's not working for either of the 2 teams here. So.
I think flair is an important word, or like flavor. Like a lot of the TI is all about that, right? It's all about that like special thing that makes you different from the other teams. And I feel like looking at SG, they clearly have that, and that's like what Quincy Crew lacks to me. Is that they at least for TI, it's like they are during DPC. Their flair was that they were like aggressive and oppressive. They would play the line, but they would always know when to stop, you know? And that's kind. I suppose that's kind of happening, but like when Quinn dies and he falls behind, they can't do that.
We get a round of applause for the end of the group stage.
Absolutely. Very well fought, Dota. We've said this at the start of this match. All of these teams did a fantastic job, and even the teams that unfortunately do have to go home, they put up a really good fight and they repped their regions very, very well, and we have a lot of respect for that. Gentlemen, we have reached the end of group stage. Do you have any initial thoughts that come to your mind immediately when thinking about the fact that we're about to get into main event? AUI? Oh, no, wait, AUI first.
Sorry, I was looking at the camera.
Yeah, he confused you as well. Stream couldn't see it.
Focus on
It
the
was just
camera,
us.
man. I don't know. Honestly, I'm pretty surprised specifically by EG. Well, sorry, was this about the teams or was it about like the
Anything. Any thoughts that came to your mind?
Yeah, I mean that was my biggest one. I expected EG to do really well this tournament, and to my mind, in terms of gameplay, I actually really like how the meta is progressing. I feel like there's a lot of long-range nukes poking into some like cataclysmic like clashes where you just try to burst someone and it's about saves then. So I think we're looking forward to some really good games in the main stage. I also can't wait to see what OG has hidden because they always have something for main stage.
Same. I completely agree with him. I'm happy.
That's a lazy answer. Sorry.
No, I won't conclude on the same. I'm really happy for the patch. There's a reason why we have like 5, 6, 7 unpicked heroes. The patch is a TI-ready patch. There's no snowballs. There's no games that end up in 15 minutes. We had one single game that ended at the 17-minute mark. And I'm happy that we will see a lot of new, I think, strategies coming into the playoffs. But I don't think that the Chinese teams are, in contrast to OG, hiding anything. I think they're showing their hand right here. PSG LGD is playing the same way they've been playing for the last 6 months, and they're dominating. And that's pretty scary for everyone else.
I've been thoroughly impressed by the Eastern European region. I think we've been talking a lot about how South America, they were able to show up 3 teams. Eastern Europe brought 2 teams, and both of them got upper bracket. And they're both teams that I could have very easily seen being in lower bracket or even being eliminated. Maybe not VP eliminated, but Spirit eliminated I wouldn't have been too surprised by. But they both come out of nowhere. Spirit comes kind of out of nowhere and manages to make upper bracket. That's something that's very encouraging for the region, which has for so long been just overwhelmed by all the oldies who have just been showing up TI after TI.
Are they on average the youngest, right?
Both of them, yeah. Teams. Both those, the Eastern European region as a whole just is experiencing a bit of a renaissance, and can't wait to see how they do at main event.
Same.
Oh, great. Real original.
No, but seriously, I also agree with AUI. I'm very, very glad I didn't manage to get my predictions in on time because it would have been completely destroyed. EG not making it into upper bracket is very, very, very surprising to me, and also a little unfortunate. I got a little bit of that bias going on, but Virtus Pro doing really, really well. I had a lot of big questions about them because of their lack of experience on LAN, and they've proven that they're upper bracket, they're doing fantastic, and I guess I'm just wrong. I'm just completely wrong. I would say that for the people that I was talking to BSJ, about what teams that I thought were going to go home. I did say Team Spirit, and they also proved me wrong. My predictions are just all wrong. Let's take a look at the standings in IG.
Americans in shambles.
Absolutely.
Neither North or South got into upper bracket.
Our region not doing too well, but the other region's doing fantastic. IG, Virtus Pro, OG, and T1 will be in the upper bracket, as well as PSG, LGD, Team Secret, Vici Gaming, and Team Spirit. In the lower bracket, we have North America and a little bit of everywhere else, with Undying, Evil Geniuses, Team Aster, Alliance, Beast Coast, Quincy Crew, Fnatic, and Elephant. Unfortunately, 2 teams did have to go home in the group stage. Those 2 teams were Thunder Predator and SG Esports. And gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, these were some amazing games. Everyone fought super hard. We got to see really, really long games where we finally got to see some tier 5 items come out. We've also seen some really short games. Record being, what was it? Tsunami?
17 minutes, Elephant getting GG'd by LGD.
Oof, that must have been really crushing for the mental, but they still pulled through. You know, we got some good stuff going.
And the 2 teams that have been eliminated, they've played so many games that this tournament comes as, this TI comes as a huge experience. And you can be sad for them, but at the same time, there's always next year, and I'm sure that they'll come back even stronger. Especially SG, 0 wins. It's actually Thunder Predator, 0 wins. Very unexpected considering their major success, which was only arguably 1 game, but 1 is bigger than 0. So
sure. Waiting
for them in the next season.
Yeah, they were saying online after they were unfortunately eliminated that they were not too pleased with their results, but no matter what, they were still going to give it their best in their games against T1, and they really did. And yeah, I mean, just well fought. AUI, any thoughts?
No, I'm just happy with the Dota that we got to watch. I'm really excited for the break day because I'm a big Dota nerd. I'm gonna go watch a bunch of the VODs and replays. And honestly, the thing about this TI is that we had not that much information coming in, and I'm more excited now that we have all this information for what the geniuses on the teams and all the captains will do with that. I just want to see all the strats that they're gonna bring and all the cool ways they're gonna break the game.
Now that you've seen all of the teams play in a LAN setting with the international, mix of teams, what teams do you think that you would put at the top of your scoreboard now?
So my original prediction had Secret winning it, and I think that I'm still pretty confident in that being a possibility.
Bottling?
Yeah, it's, they've been saving enough strats that maybe it starts to reveal a few of them, and like I had mentioned earlier, China as a region currently, actually I don't know if it's been updated now that all of the standings have been solidified. They're in the top, but statistically so far they have a 50% chance of taking the entire thing according to Knoxville's number crunching. And so 50% for an entire region, it's quite high, but then you look at how they're doing in the tournament and it's not that surprising.
Before we get to Lizard's answer, sorry everybody, we have an announcement that the brackets are currently being worked on. So if anybody wants to wait and see what those brackets look like, you can hang out and listen to us talk for just a couple more minutes. So please hang in there.
So,
sorry, Lizard.
Before, one more thing. Last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, at TI9, at this very time, I was doing the wrap-up for the group stage for TI9. We were waiting, and they resolved the group stage. The last thing was OG needed to figure out their opponent, and they said, flip a coin. We don't care. And I think part of the reason was because they were doing it in front of all the other teams. And that mental game of being all like, here, who we face, flip a coin, we'll kick their ass anyway. And so even though it's not all predetermined, the upper bracket teams get to choose based off of seeding who their opponents will be. And so there's still some mind games going on even after the Dota has ended.
That really is a power move there.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing how that pans out. Sorry, Tsunami, Lizard, go ahead. What teams do you think that you have your eye on throughout main event?
This will be a very boring answer and not a hot take at all.
All right, LGD. Moving on. I'm just kidding.
LGD, keep it on. Let's go. No, it's not only LGD. I'll take the 2 winners of the 2 groups. I'll take IG from one and LGD from the other. I'm not going to stray away way too much. Maybe I'll mention one hot take. That's Virtus Pro. They've yet to win a single TI, right? As an organization.
That's true.
And there's a lot of teams and a lot of players talking about them and how strong they are in scrims. That's been said before, though. During the Any Major, a very common team was back then. So if they manage to rein in their emotions, I think they can go far. Yet again, when you look at PSG LGD and how they're playing, I don't think they've met their match yet.
AUI?
I'm surprised you guys aren't talking about OG, because I mean they're looking to
The
three-peat,
three-peat?
right? Yeah, I mean it's OG at TI.
3 flukes in a row.
You can, yeah, 3 flukes in a row. You can never count that team out, especially when it comes to the main stage. But I also think LGD and IG, they're just looking phenomenal, and it'll sort of be that battle. It almost seems to me like it's been a while since TI has sort of felt like that, like West versus East, because that's how TI was originally divided, right? Like the TI 1 to
West and East.
4. It was just West versus East, and
All 1 through 6, because Wings took 6. So
oh, like
technically
in winners. No, I was literally talking about the regions. It
Oh,
used to be
okay.
West and East,
Right.
and
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's been a while. Honestly, maybe a bit too long for the performance through the years since we had a Chinese team win TI. But OG, I don't even think they've shown their best Dota yet during the group stage, honestly. Like, I see Sumail sort of clowning around the day before matches, not fully focused, because they know, like, and it's probably, like, agreed upon by the team. Like, they know what it takes to win TI. They know the mentality that they set themselves up for. So I would never want to count OG out.
You can never underestimate
Yeah.
the
No,
power
they're
of-
scary.
It's worth mentioning, though, there's no crowd this time, though. And if
That
they
is
get-
true.
get a
They
big
do
power
feed
up,
off that
True.
energy.
They do feed off the energy, which if you at home are watching, don't worry. There's still a lot of show planned. Even though you guys aren't going to be there, we have grand plans for things to come whenever we finally come to the main event. So the show will still go on despite the circumstances, but the players and the teams may have different conditions now that there's
That
not
is
that
true.
roar. That you
That
guys
is
couldn't
true.
do it in game, I guess.
And that could be a deficit for some team like an OG, right? At the same time, for these youngsters, Team
a
Spirit.
VP?
I mean, for VP for sure,
For
right?
them, it's good.
Like
They-
tournament
they-
nerves are a real
Exactly.
thing where like
Ex-
you walk onto the stage, you see the entire audience cheering for you, or maybe just sitting there because you're playing against their favorite team and like they're all watching you and you know that they're going
think-
to be judging you and there are going to be people talking about you and watching you the whole time. Do you think that really like does that shake your mentality?
I mean, not for me personally.
You don't
but-
care?
No, I care, but like, I think it's nice. Like, it's inspiring. I think the main thing is the vibrations. Like, that's what
Yeah.
I feel like it's not talked about enough. Like, it literally shakes. Like, when something exciting is going on, you can feel it. And even if you're trying to remain calm, like, it's just
It's shaking
electric.
you.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're physically being shaken.
Yeah.
Like,
Insania was telling me a story about how at one of the epicenters, him as a European team was going up against Gambit, and this was before TI9. And so for Gambit, this was to determine who might be able to get enough points to go to TI9. And so it was like the true finals of that tournament, and it happened in lower bracket, and he said like, the entire world was quaking. The crowd was roaring every single time they get a last hit on Gambit, and it was just like pin drop silence whenever it's on and a liquid good thing happens. And they ended up taking it, and like he was like, I could feel the tension in the crowd. I could feel the eyes just like burrowing into me after we won that.
So what I'm hearing is that during main event, we need Tsunami, Lizard, and AUI to jump up on the stage, jump up and down on the stage so that it
should have
vibrates,
that.
so that they can
I'll,
feel
I'll
that.
shake the booth.
yeah.
For me, I think so. I actually had a conversation with one of my friends this morning. So he's a Red Bull athlete, Anakin, and he plays fighting games. And he, of course, OG is his bias because it's like his teammates, right? He asked me what I thought, and I said that what I personally was hoping for was a LGD EG Grand Finals, but I said that OG being top 3 is like basically that's like. I'm confident in that because they're just so good. They have the 2 TIs under their belt and like so much more experience just attending TIs in general that they're just ready, Virtus Pro might have, like you mentioned earlier, they might not have that experience and with the vibrations or with the crowd or lack thereof, but I think OG has that power. But me personally, I'm always hoping that EG will, our TZ will finally get to, will finally get to lift the ages,
That's all we need.
But LGD has just been proven to be very, very consistent throughout the entire DPC. They're just really good. They came to TI, continuing to be they're proving to be why they're at the top of international worldwide Dota.
Do we still have
Man.
to kill time before the groups are determined?
Production, what's going on?
Okay, we can do this. We can do this all day.
You can continue.
That
The
is true.
three-peat? Do you believe Tsunami?
Well, I think that for the pre-TI OG, surprisingly, this is actually the most competitive the pre-TI OG has looked. I think before TI8, it was, we're panicking. We lost S4 and Fly. Let's get this pub star. Who's this Thompson dude? He plays Meteor Hammer Invoker. I don't care. Let's get him. They get it, and he didn't have any LAN experience prior to that, and now still is rocking 100% win rate on TI main stage. And then TI8 comes around, and roster in shambles, as is tradition for OG, managed to bring. Actually, so what was the
TI9, they brought
TI9,
Anna
yeah.
back.
right? So what was the last tournament before that? Did they bring Anna for any of the DPC tournaments?
No, it's just for TI quals,
It was
right?
just for TI quals.
No, you mean for this?
No, last year.
TI9.
Yeah, last year, I think it's just the quals.
Yeah, so just quals, cobble it together.
They barely beat Wind and Rain, 3-2.
That's right.
Finals.
Yeah, and then group stage they were actually dominant.
So it's very similar, right? They barely won versus Tundra here.
They barely won versus Tundra.
Yep.
And they're back in TI. It's,
No, they
it's
might
a
be
scary
role-playing a bit,
storyline.
to be honest. Like, they barely brought in their carry for TI quals only. They're just trying to
It's
replicate
a
a bit of
ritual
the
at this
magic.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play for fun, We wanted to have the super close 3-2 versus Tundra. All part of the plan.
All part of the plan, all according to Keikaku, right, Sumi?
Oh my gosh, stop saying that.
And so if there was the writing on a wall for a three-peat, they have followed the recipe thus far for their team. And Sumail has been a standout performer. Now the question is, can you do it without Jarex? Can you do it without Ana?
That's a tough question. I feel like for me, my experience with Dota, whenever someone talks about OG, everyone always mentions Ana in some way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, now that he is retired, how does that feel for OG like as a team? Like for you, AUI, have you ever had that feeling where like someone leaves? Well, other than you, where like someone leaves and then you just feel shook?
Or the team leaves you.
Stop! I was trying to
Yeah,
avoid
when the
that.
team leaves me, it's not a good feeling. I don't know. I feel like Ana, he was a very special player in OG, like
Yes.
very good. But for me, because I'm a little bit biased for Sumail, because he literally carried me for a TI win. But I think Sumail is one of the most special players in Dota. Like it's a generational talent. So if there's anyone who can replicate what they did with Ana, it has to be Sumail in my eyes. And as for Jerax, I feel like he's honestly a bit harder to replace. Like Saksa, he's looked fantastic, honestly, like super
Yeah,
solid, rock
for
solid, standout player. But you do miss a little bit of that Jerax magic, I think, still. And the one thing that OG's strength has always been is about utilizing their players correctly. So I think even if you're missing something, like Saksa does bring stuff to the table that Jerax couldn't. And I think, honestly, overall, I just think OG's going to be really strong going to main stage.
You can't really argue about a guy that had 3 accounts.
Yeah,
on
top 10.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, it was a 1-2-3?
I,
Yeah, I
it
think
was
it
1,
was
2,
1, 2,
1,
3.
2 at least. I'm not sure if it was 1, 2, 3.
Wow,
It was
okay.
1 and 2. Yeah. He was playing some Lycans, I felt it as well. He was dominating. But maybe he brings a little bit more stability and less flair. Like Jerax was definitely like tiny airlines. Come on.
know.
Like, the moment you see that and how he's laughing while he's tossing the player back to his
fits.
team, it just fits him, right? And he said the correct word. You don't have to describe it any longer. Magic. Like he just brought some magic to the team. I think Sumail, Ana, and perhaps Emo, who Sumail has called to become a superstar a long time ago, right? Are very similar. They're 1 in a million kind of players. Like there just aren't plenty around. That's why I think IG can do it as well. Like, how many teams do you see question mark after being 0-2 down?
Especially
and
at Chinese teams.
Exactly, and then they reverse sweep EG. Like, that was already a moment in history for them. The only question is, can they contain the same thing going forward into the TI?
Well, gentlemen, we have the information in. For those of you at home who may be wondering, for the coming out of group stage, the top seed in each group will pick their first opponent for the playoffs from either the third or fourth place finish in the opposite group. Okay. So they got to pick. And now, thanks to the beloved TI graphics team, thank you so much for all of your hard work. We have the day one main event bracket.
IG versus Spirit. China versus Eastern Europe.
LGD did not pick OG. That's what we're seeing here.
That's true.
Yep.
And Secret taking on OG, a European classic at this point, which both the DPCs always went in Secret's favor, I believe. And so if history is to repeat itself, then someone might be making a deep lower bracket run already.
What are your thoughts on the matchup? Oh, we have more. Undying versus Fnatic, Quincy Crew versus Team Aster, Beast Coast versus Alliance, and EG versus Elephant. What are the thoughts here?
These are best of ones?
These are best of one.
These are best of ones.
EG versus Elephant.
Ooh.
Tell me, after TI9, tell me these players will be playing in the lower bracket best of one for elimination from TI.
Terrifying.
I literally wouldn't have believed you. Like, that's crazy.
And whoever is kicked out here, like in this particular game, in this particular series, you would never expect them to be there in that spot, right?
No.
Like, it's going to be a surprise to anyone.
I want to see some lightning round, hyper fast predictions for these matchups. Tsunami, you first. Pick one from each.
I'm gonna say Undying, Aster, Beast Coast, EG.
I'll copy you.
Really?
I'll say the Americas will win all their matches.
Yeah, I said that. Oh, okay. So Quincy, Beast Coast, EG, Undying. You're taking the left side the entire way. Okay.
I was also going to take the left side.
Yeah.
I have nothing behind that. I'm just supporting my boys.
Regional bias.
Same, actually.
Well, then fine. Lizard, let's go for Fnatic. Fnatic's taking game one. Let's go.
Fnatic, Aster,
Let's go.
Alliance.
Give me the right
I
side.
feel
We'll
like
see.
it's hard to take a wrong pick here. Like,
I know.
That is true.
It's so weird how these teams are the lower bracket teams to me, honestly. Because even in the group stages, like they've shown some really good Dota. It just happens to be that this TI it's really tight. I mean, maybe not for LGD and IG, but it's really tight and super like close.
But you could also say it's tight
else,
between
right?
LGD and IG, right? Tight between those two, right?
I mean, I want to see those two teams play, to be honest.
Yes. Well, we have another surprise from our lovely graphics team. We have even more for day two. We have LGD versus T1 and Virtus Pro versus Vici Gaming in a best of three.
LGD versus T1, okay, you could say that LGD is probably, right, the favorites there, but VP versus VG for me is an extremely competitive
That's
series.
a close one.
Like, I couldn't predict that, no way.
You know, it's also interesting because usually, I think historically, TI has had like sort of a strong group.
Yep.
And that group has like gone on, because they play each other so much, they go on to define the correct meta in the playoffs. I'm not sure which group that is at all this TI. Like, I have no idea.
There's a lot of actually like strategies and heroes that are being picked or were picked in Group A and Group B, and it's seemingly the strategies are similar too.
Yeah, and it's also, if you compare it to TI9, it's a little bit deceiving because Core IO emerged, and so whatever teams were in OG's group will all of a sudden like, oh my god.
No, but OG just busted that out
Right.
in the main stage. It
No,
wasn't even in groups,
It was
right?
in groups.
It was in groups?
Yeah, it came out like
Oh, my apologies, okay.
It came out like day 3 of groups.
Okay.
But they didn't like start leaning on it until main event, but they debuted it in groups.
I see.
And so whenever there was that one team that able to break the seal on like, this is
No,
what
my favorite example is like TI5, right? Because CDEC, they were like the most ahead of the meta team.
Right.
And we just happened to be in their group. It was very nice. Thank you, CDEC. And we could learn from them. And then Group B, I think it took like 5 out of the top 6, just because they're all able to play CDEC. I think it's gotten a little bit less like that in today's Dota world, because teams adapt really fast now. But there's still potential for it. Like, I don't know. TI is weird. Like, you have to get lucky with the strats you meet and the ones you learn from in order to win oftentimes.
Well, we will have to see what happens with all of the strategies clashing and all of the new metas combining together as we head over to our main event of the international. This was just group stage. The party is just getting started. So for all of you who would like to see more Dota, don't worry, because we have more coming to you live on Tuesday, October 12th, live from Bucharest, Romania. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us, and we will see you all on Tuesday.